Hello everyone, welcome back on EnglIT channel, and here we have the fourth practice set of 1000 MCQ series related to history of English literature. And in this set we will discuss question number 301 to 400 question. So be ready with your paper and pen, and also with your phone and laptop and tab for the interactive session related to English literature. And here we have the 301 question. We all dies while fighting. We have the question. You go for the right answer of this question number 301. Option C is the answer, the dragon. Beowulf dies while fighting with the dragon. Option C is the answer of the 301 number question. 302 we have Beowulf became the king of the Danes, Gates, Parisians या Jutes. Option B is the answer, Gates. Option B is the correct answer of the question number 302. And friends, in this series we are discussing MCQs from the different periods of history of English literature. So be prepared for that. And there would be different questions from different ages. Random questions you will get here in this series. So don't be confused that I am discussing only Old English period related question. Here you will get all the questions related to the different ages of history of English literature. Number 303 we have the question Milton's political allegiance during the English Civil War was to the Royalists, Catholics, Puritans, and parliamentarians or Cavaliers. Option C is the answer, Puritans and parliamentarians. This question is related to the support, political support, whom Milton supported at the time of the English Civil War. So this was the answer. Sometimes this question can be also be asked in this way. Milton's political support during the English Civil War was to the Puritans and parliamentarians. Okay, option C is the answer of the question number 303. We have 304 question. Milton served as Latin secretary to. Correct answer we have option C, Oliver Cromwell. We have the option C, number C is the correct answer of the question 304. 305 we have they also serve who only stand and wait is from. You have to go for the right answer from which work this line is taken, and this is from the work of John Milton, that is on his blindness. On his blindness is the poem by Milton, and he had said they also serve who only stand and wait, related to the service of God. Next we have 306. Samson Agonist draws on the biblical story from the book of Genesis, Exodus, Judges, or Psalms. We have the answer option C, Judges. And friend, this is a closet drama by John Milton we have, and this is from Old Testaments closet drama, and this was published with the Paradise Regained, and this is the work of John Milton. Next we have the question 307. Dryden's poetry often employed with which verse form? Which verse form was used by Dryden in his poetry? Blank verse, free verse, heroic couplets, or Ottawa rhyme? We have the option C, heroic couplet, was used by Dryden in his poetry. Next we have the 308. The primary theme of Absalom and Achitophel is. Absalom and Achitophel. What was the primary theme of this? We have the answer here, that is option B, and this is the work of John Dryden. This was the poem written by John Dryden. John Dryden's poem, Absalom, Achitophel. Okay. Next one we have Restoration drama is known for its religious themes, morality plays, comedy of manners, or blank verse tragedies. Option C is the correct answer. Restoration drama was very popular, known as the comedy of manners related play, and William Congreve was one of the important dramatists related to this kind of drama he had written. Okay, तो इस पे देखिएगा कि this is the answer. Comedy of manners was very popular because what was the main theme related to this kind of work? This kind of dramas were related to the aristocratic class, where their manners, their living style was revealed by the dramatist, was introduced by the dramatist in restoration dramas. That's why comedy of manners is one of the prominent form of drama used by the restoration dramatist. 310 is the question. The character Mirabelle appears in which restoration play? We have the answer option C, The Way of the World. This is the character Mirabelle, and the Way of the World told you that William Congreve was one of the dramatists of Comedy of Manners, and this is the work of William Congreve. And the Love for Love is also one of the drama of William Congreve. So don't be confused here. But here the question is related to a character, and that is Mirabelle, which appears in William Congreve's play The Way of the World. Next one, 311. The Country Wife was written by. We have the correct answer, that is option C, William Wycherley. Wycherley is the correct answer. Option C, 311 is the question. 312 is the question. Which of the following works was written by Alexander Pope? Out of these four options, Gulliver's Travels, Rape of the Lock, The Tatler, The Modest Proposal. Option B is the correct answer. Rape of the Lock was written by, this was the poem which was written by Alexander Pope. Next one, 313, Swift's Gulliver's Travel can be categorized as which kind of work it is. Gulliver's Travel, which is a drama, and this is the work fantasy novel, allegory and satire, historical epic or religious text. Option B is the answer, allegory and satire. This is the work categorized. This work, Gulliver's Travel, categorized as allegory and satirical work. Number 314, we have in Gulliver's Travel, the Lilliputians symbolizes. Lilliputians symbolizes whom in Gulliver's Travel by Jonathan Swift. Political corruption in Europe, the British aristocracy, yeah, had disillusionment of the common people. And option D, we have the religious conflicts. Option A is the correct answer. Political corruption in Europe was symbolizes in Gulliver's Travel by Lilliputians. Next one, 315. The central theme of Swift's modest proposal is a modest proposal. Central theme we have here, option B, the exploitation of poor in the society. The exploitation of the poor in society was the central theme by Jonathan Swift in his work A Modest Proposal. 316. Pope's essay on man explores the theme of. Again, we have the question related to the this work of Pope, and we have option B is the correct answer. The purpose of life and the role of humans in the universe is the correct answer. Pope's essay on man explores the theme of the purpose of life and role of humans in the universe. Next one, we have the main target of the Dunciad. Dunciad is a work, and the Dunciad is a work which is the main theme. You have to go for the right answer. This is the poem by Alexander Pope. We have poem, and the main target we have here, option B, corrupt poets and critics. In Dunciad, Alexander Pope's main target was the corrupt poets and critics. Next, 318, Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal is a famous example of option B, satire. Because at that time, in the 18th century, satirical poetry was very popular, and that's why most of the writers, most of the poet had written this kind of poetry. And one of them is Modest Proposal of Jonathan Swift. We have next one, the Alexander Pope's most famous work is Alexander Pope's most famous work. We have the option D, Dunciad and the Rape of the Lock, because both works in option D. That's why we will go for the option D, and this is very important work. These two are the very important works of the Alexander Pope. We have 320. We have Pope's The Rape of the Lock is a satire of. Again, we have the question related to the Pope's work, and The Rape of the Lock, which is a mock of epic poem. And what kind of things were satirizes in this work of Alexander Pope? We have the option B, gender, relation, and aristocratic manners. ठीक है, यहाँ पे भी देखिए मैनर्स की बात हो रही है, एरिस्टोक्रेटिक सोसाइटी के मैनर्स को एक्सप्लोर किया गया है एंड सटाराइज किया गया है, हाउ दे बिहेव एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ life they live. They are very much kind of people who live luxurious life, and there is a kind of thing, they are most of people, they boast their things and their culture, their living manners. That's why gender relation aristocratic manners were satirized in the works of Alexander Pope, especially the poem The Rape of the Lock. And the main character we have here, यहाँ पे ब्लेंडा, ब्लेंडा इज द मेन कैरेक्टर, यहाँ पे है हीरोइन और मेन कैरेक्टर इनको बोल सकते हैं ऑफ दिस पोएम. We have the next one, 321. Thomas Hardy's work often explores themes of. We have the answer, option C, the inevitability of fate and human sufferings. We have the work Far from the Madding Crowd, Hard Times, and Jude the Obscure. These are Mayor of Cassiopeia Bridge. These are, all are the important dramas written by Thomas Hardy, and they explore the theme related to the inevitability of the fate and human sufferings. And Thomas Hardy was the Victorian novelist. We have the next one, 322. Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Sonnets from Portuguese is a collection of poems primarily about which, and this is the collection of poems and sonnet from Portuguese, and this is a collection about which of the things were discussed here. Political activism, love and proposal, personal emotions, yeah, industrial revolution, nature and landscape. Option B is the correct answer. Love and personal emotions was discussed in the work of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Sonnets from the Portuguese. And here we have the question number 323. Which novel by George Eliot, Mary Ann Evans, whose real name was Mary Ann Evans, we have the George Eliot, and is considered a great work of Victorian realism? You have to go for the right answer out of these four options related to the works of George Eliot, which is related to the Victorian realism. Out of these four options, we have the correct answer, Middlemarch. Option A is the answer of the question number 232 we have. Next, we have 324. Which of the following is considered a key characteristic of Victorian literature? Victorian literature की key characteristic के बारे में बताना है, which is an important feature of Victorian literature. What was the main important thing written at the time of the Victorian age? A focus on scientific realism and exploration of social and moral issues, and a glorification of industrialization, industrial progress, or we have the option a return to classical form of writing, and the correct we have the answer, option B. An exploration of social and moral issue was discussed at the time of the Victorian age in Victorian literature. Okay, Victorian literature was mainly about exploration of social and moral issues. We have the next one. Hard Times by Charles Dickens is a critic of. What is discussed in the work of what is discussed in the novel of Charles Dickens, Hard Time? Option A, B, C we have here. Option A is the correct answer. Industrialization and social inequality was one of the main important thing. This was criticized in the work of Hard Times by Charles Dickens. 326 we have the question. The novel John Eyre by Charlotte Bronte focuses on. What was the main things discussed in this work of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte? Adventures of young men in the city, inner life and development of young women, the struggle of an improvised artist, and option D we have the historical conflict in Britain. We have the correct answer, option B. The inner life and development of a young woman was discussed in the work Jane Eyre, which was a novel, which was one of the feminist novel by Charlotte Bronte. 327 we have the question. The picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde explores the theme of, and friends, the last 3-4 questions we had discussed related to the themes and main important points which is discussed in such a drama written at the time of the Victorian or Elizabethan era or or modern age. And this is also the same question related to the theme of the one of important work, The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is an work of Oscar Wilde. And what was the theme discussed here? Option B is the correct answer: morality, aesthetics, and corrupting power of vanity. Option B is the answer of the question number 3 to 7. 3 to 8 we have Thomas Carlyle is best known for his work on political theory and historical writings, romantic poetry, social and moral philosophy, or we have the modern novel. Option A is the answer of the question number 3 to 8. Next one we have the Victorian era in English literature is typically considered to have spanned from. You have to go for the time duration of the Victorian era, which is correctly mentioned here as an option of the Victorian age. Option C is the correct answer. From 1830 to 1900 was the time. Next one we have, which of the following authors is considered a major Victorian novelist? Major Victorian novelist we have here, that is option B, Charles Dickens. He had written David Copperfield, and option and the Hard Times we have, and the Tale of Two Cities. These are the few important novels had written by Victorian novelist Charles Dickens, and that's why he is considered one of the major novelists of the Victorian age. Next one we have Charles Dickens' Great Expectation is a classic example of. Option B is the correct answer. Buildings Roman. Buildings Roman, I had already told you, this is a term related to the development of a hero's personality from starting to the end, how he was in his life in the starting phase of life, and how his personality developed, and what kind of changes he get at the time passes in his life. And this is called the buildings Roman we have, and that's why option B is the correct answer. Charles Dickens' Great Expectation is a classic example of buildings Roman novel. Option B is the answer. Next one we have 332. In Memoriam, Alfred Lord Tennyson is a poem by that addresses. This is a poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson. We have Victorian age related question also. We have this one again. And what he as a poet Tennyson has addresses, what things he had addresses here. Option A would be the correct answer: the death of the Tennyson's close friend Arthur Hallam. AHH हेनरी हेलम, ऑर्थर हेनरी हेलम बोलते हैं उनको, इनके फ्रेंड को। और कभी कभी इसका नाम भी आपने अगर देखा होगा तो समटाइम्स यू गेट दिस poem's title as a in memoriam of WAHH. Okay. Next one we have here. The Lady of Shalott by Alfred Tennyson is a poem based on. We have the correct answer, that is option B. A mythological figure curse. A mythological figure curse was discussed in this poem, Lady of Shalott. Next one we have the Victorian era saw the rise of realist writers who sought to depict. The Victorian era saw the rise of realist writer. The supernatural and fantastic things they had discussed, the idealized heroism of the past they had discussed, or everyday life and ordinary people they had discussed, or romanticized depiction of nature. Option C is the correct answer. Everyday life and ordinary people they had discussed in their novels, in their works. If we go through the works of the Victorian era, and that was the time of the realistic approach related literature, and that's why what writers had written in their literature, that was the everyday life and ordinary people. That was the realistic approach that was followed by the Victorian era writers. Next one we have The Second Coming by W.B. Yeats reflects a vision of. Option A is the correct answer: the cynical nature of history and societal collapse. Social collapse यहाँ पे होगा. Next one, 336. The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot explored the theme of. Option A is the correct answer. A man's romantic pursuit and inner conflict was discussed in this poem of T.S. Eliot, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Let's go, then you and I. This is the very opening line of this poem. and also very famous line. Sometimes you get question related to this line also. 337 we have D.H. Lawrence novel Sons and Lovers explore the theme of. We have the option B correct answer. The psychological effect of Oedipal complex relationship. Yeah, Oedipus complex related relationship where a son has a close relationship with his mother, and that is the Oedipus complex related work depict, and D.H. Lawrence Sons and Lover is one of them, which explores the theme of the psychological effect of Oedipus Oedipal relationship. Next one we have James Joyce's short story collection. Dubliners is notable for its exploration of. We have again the question related to the themes and important point which this work had, and this short story collection of James Joyce Dubliner explored the Irish development, the independence movement, the everyday lives and struggle of ordinary people, the influence of Catholicism in Irish society, a glamour of the upper class in Dublin. We have the answer option B, the everyday lives and struggle of ordinary people. Next, option B is the answer of the question number 338 we have. Now we have 339. Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway explores. Again, this is the question related to the theme of the work of Virginia Woolf, Mrs. Dalloway, and the lives of ordinary people during the Victorian era, then as inner thoughts of individual and their struggle with identity and social constraint. Yeah, here the plight of working class families during industrialization, a philosophical discussion on the nature of time. The correct answer we have option B, the inner thoughts of individuals and their struggles with identity and social constraint. Option B, inner thoughts of individual or and their struggle was discussed related to social contract constraints by Virginia Woolf in her work Mrs. Dalloway. 340 question. The stream of consciousness technique in literature is most famously by. This was most famous by option A, William Faulkner. Next one question. Postmodern literature is often characterized by. Postmodern literature is often characterized by option C, fragmented narratives, self-referentiality, and questioning of truth. This is the main important characteristic of the postmodern literature. 342 question. Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children was awarded the Booker Prize for the its exploration on the post-colonial Indian identity. Option A is the correct answer of the question number 342, which is related to Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children was awarded the Booker Prize for. What was the reason why this book was awarded as a Booker Prize with the award of the Booker Prize? Because it explored the post-colonial Indian identity. Next one we have the beauty is truth, truth beauty is famous line from. We have all know this is from Ode on a Grecian. Option C is the answer of the question number 343. This is John Keats poem. All other poems are John Keats. These all are poems of John Keats. Next one 344. The poet known for Child Herald Pilgrimage and Don Juan. We have the correct answer, Lord Byron, who popularized Byronic Hero. Byronic Hero is popularized by Lord Byron, and this is the poem of Lord Byron, Child Herald Pilgrimage and Don Juan. Next one we have the phrase romantic hero often refers to the characters who are option C, rebellious, introspective, and isolated. Romantic hero refers to the characters of that rebellious character who has a rebellious personality, introspective, and isolated from all others. 346 we have. Which Scottish poet is best known for preserving traditional ballads and writing in Scott dialects? Scottish writers we have here related. Who is the Scottish poet जो कि प्रिजर्विंग ट्रेडिशनल बैलेट्स के लिए जाना जाता है और स्कॉट डायलेक्ट्स के लिए वी हैव द रॉबर्ट बर्न्स. ऑप्शन ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर. 347 we have the Romantic period in English literature is generally considered to have begun with the publication of lyrical ballads by Wordsworth and Coleridge. Option A is the answer because in this year 1798 this work was published, and with this Romantic era started with this publication of this work. Next one, 348, we have which two poets are most closely associated with the beginning of English Romanticism. Which two poets के बारे में बात हो रही है? तो obviously we had already discussed this answer here, already mentioned, and Wordsworth and Coleridge was the two poets who closely associated with the beginning of the English Romanticism because they had collaboratively written the work, the poem, lyrical ballads, and they published their poems in this collection of poetry in 1798. I hope, friends, you are enjoying this session, and do share your views on this class. And also, don't forget to watch all other videos which I had recently uploaded here related to MCQs on English literature, on UPTGTA related examination. And don't forget to stay with this channel and subscribe this channel. Also press the bell icon button so that you can get the further notification whenever I upload. I go for the live classes on this channel, EngLITzone. So try to subscribe it now and press the notification bell icon. So we have the number 349 question. Lyrical ballad was first published in option B is the answer. Very easy question. Sorry, very easy C question. 1798 was the time when lyrical ballads were published. Romantic poetry is characterized by its emphasis on. This is option C. Emotion, imagination, and nature was main subject which were discussed in the poetry of the Romantic age, and this was one of the important characteristic of the Romantic era we have. Most of the poetry will get related to emotion, imagination, individuality, subjectivity, and nature. Number 351, we have the question who wrote the preface to the lyrical ballads outlining the principles of romantic poetry? Who prefaces the lyrical ballad? William Wordsworth. Option B. Don't be confused that Coleridge had done this. This preface, lyrical ballad, was published with the collaboration of the Coleridge and Wordsworth, but the preface to lyrical ballad was written by the William Wordsworth himself. Next one, 352, we have the romantic emphasis on spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings comes from the work of, obviously we have the option C answer. This is the William Wordsworth definition of poetry. He had given his definition. What is poetry all about? He said that this is an spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling. Next one we have 353, we have Samuel Taylor Coleridge's famous narrative poem is. We have option C is the correct answer, the rhyme of the ancient mariner. Option C is the correct answer. Next one, 354, the who wrote the poem Kubla Khan said to have been inspired by an opium dream. We have already had discussed this question, and option D is the answer. S.T. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge had written this poem Kubla Khan, and it was supposed it was that he was under the influence of the opium dream when he had consumed opium and he was in dream. That's why this is a fragment work, dream allegorical work. When he wake up from his dream, he forgot everything, and that's why this is a fragment work of S.T. Coleridge. Next one, 355. The poet, which poet was known for radical political views and works like Queen Mab, Mask of Anarchy? We have the option C is the correct answer. P.B. Shelley. Radical political views. P.B. Shelley की अगर बात करें, was revolutionary poet. Why he had written these works like Queen Mab, Mask of Anarchy, in which he had discussed his strong political views. So that's why we have the correct answer C option related to the 355 number question. 356 we have here. The poem Ode to the West Wind was written by P.P. Shelley. We have the answer, and option D is the answer. Which romantic poet was expelled from the Oxford for writing the pamphlet The Necessity of Atheism? Necessity of Atheism, which was a work. This was a pamphlet by P.B. Shelley, and that's why he was expelled from the university. Option C. 358. Who wrote Don Juan, a long satirical narrative poem? We have Lord Byron. Option C is the correct answer. 359. In Blake's Songs of Experience, the poem London primarily critiques. Songs of Experience is a collection of poems by William Blake, and London is one of the poem which is included in that collection. And what is London poem is all about? What was primarily criticized by William Black we have in this poem. And option C is the correct answer. Urban corruption and oppression of the lower people or poor people. 360 question. Coleridge's Biography Literaria is best described as. This is the work by a philosophical, critical and philosophical work. Coleridge has written this book, Biographia Literaria, and this is a critical and philosophical work because Coleridge also mm, worked as a critic of the romantic age. 361 House of Mr. Biswas by V.S. Naipaul portrays life in. Answer is option C, Trinidad. 362 Who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2001 for work exploring post-colonial identity and exile. Post-colonial identity and exile पे 2001 में लिटरेचर के लिए नोबेल प्राइज किसे दिया गया है? ऑप्शन सी वीएस नायपॉल. 363 we have who is the author of Waiting for Godot, a landmark play in the theatre of absurd. We have the correct answer. Option C is the answer. Samuel Beckett. 364 Tom Stafford, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead reimagines of the Hamlet play. They were from the character of uh, from the play of Shakespeare's Hamlet. And Tom Stafford had written this work, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, and that's why it reimagines of Hamlet play. 365. Edward Alves, who is Alfred of Virginia Woolf, explores illusion versus reality in marriage. 366. Which novel winning playwright authored The Homecoming and the Dumb Waiter and Homecoming is a playwright that was the dramatist who also won the Nobel Prize, and you have to go for the answer. Harold Pinter. Homecoming and Dumb Waiter is the work of this dramatist Harold Pinter. 367. Which drama critic and theorist coined the term theatre of absurd? Theatre of absurd by option B. Martin Esslin. 368. Which British dramatist is known for The History Boys and The Madness of George III? The Madness of George III and The History Boys was a work of the Alan Bennett. Which 20th century playwright focused on working class realism in plays like Look Back in Anger? Look Back in Anger is John Osborne's work, and he was the dramatist and he had written this working class realistic drama, Look Back in Anger. 370 we have the question. The Angry Young Man movement in British drama was led by. Angry Young Man was a movement, and this was related to British drama, and it was led by option B, John Osborne. Look Back in Anger is the work of John Osborne also. 371 What literary movement is characterized by narrative fragmentation, irony, and metafictional technique? Which movement has a characteristic of which literary movement has characteristic of these kinds of things discussed in such kind of movement? And you have to go for the right answer. What is that movement all about? That was the moment of postmodernism. Postmodernism is a literary movement in which narrative fragmentation, irony, and metafictional techniques were mostly used. 372. Who wrote Possession, a romance, a novel combining Victorian and contemporary narratives? This is the work of the A.S. Bat. Option C. Option 373 question. Edward Said's influential book, Orientalism Techniques. This is the Western representation of the East. was discussed in the work of Orientalism, that was Edward Said's influential book. 374 we have, which Caribbean poet and playwright won the Nobel Prize in 1992? Option D, Derek Walcott. Derek Walcott has won, and he was a Caribbean poet. Caribbean means related to the Caribbean country, like West Indies we have. And 375 we have, which term refers to the British working class realist drama of the 1950s and 1960s. What is the term, especially the working class realistic drama related work had written during this kind of term and used for that drama during the time of the 1950 and 1960? And what was the term which was used for the British working class realistic drama? That was option B, kitchen sink drama. That was used, the term kitchen sink drama. 376, Joe Orton's dark comedy Lewd Critics, which is related to the moral hypocrisy and institutions. 377, who wrote Top Girls, a feminist play examining women's role in society? We have the answer, option A, Carlyle Churchill. Carlyle Churchill is the writer who had written this Top Girls, a feminist play. This was the play by Carlyle, Carlyle Churchill. Next one, 378. The birthday party and homecoming are the plays. Yes, we have the correct answer, Harold Pinter. Option B को हम correct टिक करेंगे यहाँ पे, Harold Pinter. Which playwright wrote Waiting for Godot, a seminal text in the theatre of absurd? Without any delay, we will go for the right answer. Option C, Samuel Beckett has written this drama of the modern age. And most of the question now which we are discussing, these all are from the modern age. 380, Harold Pinter is best known for introducing what dramatic style? Option B, Pinterest pauses and menace. 381, who is Nigerian author of Things Fall Apart? Things Fall Apart is a work, a landmark in African literature. Caribbean literature, these were very popular at the time of the 20th century, modern and postmodern age. And Nigerian author, Things Fall Apart, is a work of Chinua Achebe. Option B is the answer. 382 question को देखते हैं. In Things Fall Apart, what is the name of the protagonist who struggles with colonial changes? Option C is the answer, Okonkwo. Okonkwo was the hero, but the protagonist who struggles with colonial changes. 383 we have the phrase the center cannot hold in Achabe's Things Fall Apart is an allusion to which poet? The center, that is W.B. Yeats. Option C is the answer. W.B. Yeats' Second Coming is the poem. जहाँ पे ये है the phrase center cannot hold, and this Things Fall Apart is also from this, taken this title from the work, from the poem of the Second Coming, and that's why we will tick here option C as a correct answer. 384, who also Incas became the first African writer to win the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1986. 385, Samar Rushdie satanic verses sparked major controversy due to option B, allegorical critique of Islam. Islamic critique को इस्लाम को allegorically criticize करा हुआ है, critical view दिया हुआ है, and that's why Salman Rushdie satanic verses sparked controversy and it was banned. Next 386 we have, which post-colonial writer is known for House of Viswas? We have the answer, Naipaul, who was a Nobel Prize winner writer. V.S. Naipaul was awarded Nobel Prize in Literature in option B 2001. ये important question है, and please mention this as an important question. Nobel Prize related question है V.S. Naipaul से, and in 2001 he was awarded Nobel Prize in Literature. 388, The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy is primarily set in which Indian state? This is in Kerala. This work of Arundhati Roy, The God of Small Things, this is also an award-winning book. 389, Kazuo Ishiguro won the Nobel Prize in Literature in which year? In 2017. Again, this is an important question. 390. Who wrote In a Free State, which won the Booker Prize in 1971? In a Free State is a work by B.S. Naipaul. He also won the Booker Prize in 1971, and in 2001 he won the Nobel Prize in Literature. 391 question. From Stafford's play, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Guarded is retelling of which Shakespearean tragedy? We had already discussed this question in another form, and in some other way this question was asked, and the answer is Hamlet. Option A is the correct answer. 392. Which novel of by Arvind Adiga won the Booker Prize in 2008? We have The White Tiger. Option C. The White Tiger is the correct answer. This is a Booker Prize winning book by Arvind Adiga, and it was won Booker Prize in 2008. 393. Chinua Acheb's Things Fall Apart respond to the colonial narratives by. This is a response to colonial narrative by reclaiming African identity and history. 394, we have the question. Salman Rushdie's work are often classified as we have the magic realism. 395, which Indian-born British writer is best known for the satanic verses? We have the correct answer. Option B, Salman Rushdie. 396, Wole Soyinka's a Nigerian playwright, a poet, received the Nobel Prize in which year? In the 1986 was the year when Wole Soyinka had won the Nobel Prize in Literature, and as an Nigerian playwright and poet. 397. Arundhati Roy, the god of small things, Booker Prize, won the Booker Prize in which year? In 2000, in 1997. 398. What distinguishes the god of small thing stylistically? Option B, non-linear narratives and lyrical prose. 399. Which post-colonial novelist borrowed Sea of Puppies, the first part of the Abyss trilogy? We have the correct answer, Amitav Ghosh. 400 question. The central aim of much post-colonial literature is. Option C, reclaim, surpass, suppress histories and voices. The main purpose, main aim of the post-colonial literature was to reclaim, suppress histories and voices. So this was all we had in practice set 4 related to the history of English literature. We will see you in the next class of the practice set 5 of English literature, history of English literature. In which we will also discuss some more variety of questions related to the different ages of English literature, because we are discussing here 1000 questions related to history of English literature. And next would be the practice set 5 of history of English literature. And please don't forget to watch the other 3 classes related to this series, and they are already mentioned you here. I had mentioned the at the end screen. You can see the templates here, and go and click on these practice set and watch one by one. Thank you for watching this.